Welcome to Stop the Fight. And today, we're recapping this weekend, the Shakur Stevenson, the Jose Pedraza win, and the retirement of Alexander Povetkin. Let's go!
Don't brag about taking my side piece! Don't brag about taking my side piece, though!
I broke my back. Back is broken. Spinal.
She's strong, man, good boy, just...
It was another good weekend for us, but this time not because we bet right, but we also got lucky. So Shakur Stevenson decisioned Jeremiah Nakathila in a boring, atrocious fight. Nakathila was down in the fourth. I did say that Shakur Stevenson is a highly touted pound-for-pound prospect, amazing speed, defense. I don't think Nakathila practically landed nothing for the entire fight. Practically nothing. I think he only landed like 20-something shots on him the entire fight. Like, it was a walking punching bag. But as I said, Shakur does not have the pop. He doesn't have the pop. The over 8.5 or whatever it was an obvious pickup. It was just an easy bet. Shakur Stevenson is not going to put out world-class opposition. It's not happening. He can get stoppages like Floyd did later on in his career, where he would just sometimes actually, Floyd didn't even get those stoppages. Well, when a person sometimes outworks the other one to such an extent, the referee just ends it. But Shakur was in no danger of stopping Nakathila. And it's going to lead to a problem for the young man in terms of generating income. People don't want to watch him. They're not going to. It doesn't matter how good you are if you sting the joint out all the time. You just won't get the fights. Eventually, you'll fall into that category where you're too good but not exciting enough to watch. Nobody wants to fight you. And like I said, the only one in this weight class really for him is Oscar Valdez. I don't think Herring is going to be competitive with him. Burchell's not going to land. This is obvious now. Shakur Stevenson is just too high a caliber of a fighter. He's too good. He really is. But because he's boring to watch, there'll be no clamoring for others to fight him. Andrade is in a similar situation where you're just a good boxer, but you're not exciting enough for fans to really want to see you fight anyone. Only the hardcores will say, oh, we need to see Shakur Stevenson against blah, blah, blah. Those are the only people who are going to be asking for those fights. And these hardcore fights, they're not made. Fan-friendly fights are usually made when there's a fever pitch of excitement. Nobody's excited for Shakur Stevenson except us try-hard fans, us fans who love the game. But a boxing southpaw with amazing defense and good speed, I don't know who wants that. I don't know. I don't really know who wants that. And I don't know how he's going to keep getting the fights. Like I said, we need to see Oscar Valdez. I think Oscar Valdez will fight him, and I think that'll catapult Shakur probably the pound for pound were he to beat Valdez, because Valdez put on an absolute performance against Burchell. An absolute performance. I completely was wrong about that fight. So again, like on the betting side here, this was an easy plus 100, easy way to double your money right here. It was a no-brainer, similar to the Daenerys fight the previous week, or 2 weeks ago, whenever that was. It's just, these are easy pickup guys. When you know the game, when you see a talented fighter like Shakur, you just know that he's not going to put someone out, but he's going to outclass him. So you're always obviously at risk where the ref will stop it. And very few people are going to complain, especially when Shakur did. I don't think he lost a minute of this fight. I don't think he lost any exchanges at all. It was really a one-sided beatdown. He's really ready for the best in the class at 130 pounds. Shakur is. He's a wonderful talent. Like we were all talking about him not being excited. He really wasn't able to put it up to that next level, but he truly is a pound-for-pound talent. This is very apparent, and he's very good. I wouldn't really call him boring to the casual, but again, for us bettors, easy pickup. Easy plus 100. Nice way to double up your money. Now, the Jose Pedraza fight. Jose Pedraza versus Julian Rodriguez. Now, I said I was gonna sit this out, but if you put a gun to my head, you take the under 8.5 because I believe Rodriguez would stop Jose Pedraza. I felt Pedraza in his third weight class. He lost every step of the way. He lost at 130 by knockout to Gervonta Davis. Winds up losing to Lomachenko 135. Also nearly stopped in that 11th. And he wound up losing at 140 to Jose Zapata, whatever you want to call him. So My obvious assumption was here we have this puncher, Julian Rodriguez, young 26-year-old up-and-comer. You know, always been fighting on 140. He's going to get the stoppage. So I actually did wind up betting, and I took on the under 8.5. Well, Jose Pedraza had other plans. He is the sniper for a reason, and boy, he could not miss. He gets the stoppage in under 8.5 rounds. Remember, 8.5, he gets a stoppage in the 8th round, actually. But the under 8.5, what that means is that you must go through the 8th round and into the 9th. I will keep reiterating this every single show. Every single show. Because some of my friends in real life, they are confused to this day. But so we wind up making the money here. So plus 200 is 3 times our money or something like that. That's a nice one. That is a nice one. And we were wrong. We were outright wrong, but sometimes the boxing gods, the gambling gods, whoever they are, they look fondly upon you. They really do. And the Islanders winning the first game, I mean, come on, this was a good weekend all around for us. I know this is a boxing show, but whatever. So, you know, I really did underrate Jose Pedraza. I thought that every step of the way he was losing a little bit of something. I was wrong. Or even if he did lose it, he was able to gain it back for this fight. He really put it on Julian Rodriguez. He really did. I don't know how many times he landed that lead hand, and he was landing it from both positions. Both southpaw and orthodox when he would switch up. This was a beatdown. This was a young man taken to school by a veteran, a boxer who's very crafty, who really knows how to box. You know, there's the only loss of his that's questionable is that Zapata loss. I don't think he had any business losing to Jose Zapata, but it's understandable you lose to Gervonta Davis and Lomachenko. Those guys are pound for pound talents. You know, that's okay. But what he did against Julian Rodriguez is it's just amazing. I guess for us bettors, this is a welcome surprise. I won every single bet this weekend, and it feels good sometimes when you clean sweep like this, especially unexpectedly. It's a good feeling. Now, where does he go from here? Where does Jose Pedraza go? Because Julian Rodriguez, he needs to retool. He was outboxed and heavily outboxed. He talked a lot of smack before the fight. There was some bad blood, and he was heavily outboxed. He wasn't competitive in this fight. Not really. It kind of looked like early on, like if Pedraza can maintain the space, Julian Rodriguez is going to have big problems, and his eye was swollen shut by the end of the fight. So congratulations to Jose Pedraza. Now, where does he go from here? This is 140 pounds. This has a couple of champs, a couple of good guys at this weight class. And the good thing about Jose Pedraza winning here is, again, he gets to get paid again. And that's, like I said, this is prize fighting. And the most important thing, if you like a fighter, and I do like Pedraza, and you're happy for him, the next best thing you can hope is that he fights for a title at his weight class to get paid. Now, there's a lot of fights here for Pedraza. Obviously, you know, the Easter Juniors, the Postals, those are all good, but there's the Ramirez, who just came off his a losing but valiant effort against Josh Taylor. There's the rematch with Zapata, and there's a Prograis fight. So there are fights, and I think all those are good fights for him. All those are good fights. You know, with Josh Taylor, I think that Taylor's going to be a little bit too quick for him. But Prograis, we saw with Taylor, he can be outboxed. He can be outthought. I don't think, if Pedraza fights Prograis, of course Prograis is going to be the favorite, and he will be. And I think he would probably win that fight, but I'm going to have to see the odds, as there is room with Prograis. You got to move, you got to circle, and Prograis could be outboxed. He really could. Zapata, like I said, that fight was kind of close. So I think this division is wide open for him, except for the Josh Taylor fight. I don't think that's a good fight. It's just a slick boxer versus a slick boxer, but one's faster is, you know, obviously the faster guy has the advantage, given all things are equal. He's also a little bit taller, I think. So those are the options, I think, for Pedraza, and I think almost all of them are pretty good. Now, this weekend, we saw the retirement of Alexander Povetkin. And this one was a little bit expected, given his last showing. I'm going to do a quick recap of his career. And I've kind of done this before on the channel, but now that he's officially retired, and I don't think he's coming back, given how he looked And given the injuries that he says he has, let's talk about Sasha Alexander Povetkin. Now, he is an Olympic gold medalist, and he turned pro back in 2005. Of course, he was a highly touted prospect. He was a very decorated amateur, and I think he really did go on to have a really good career, a really, really good career. And like I said, I think he may be one of the best heavies to never win a legit title. So, he has wins. Like, if I read his resume, it'll be pretty good. Listen to this. Larry Donald, Chris Bird, Eddie Chambers, right? Then he beat Taurus Sykes, Nikolai Furtha, of course, Ruslan Chagayev, Marco Huck, Hasim Rahman. He fought in a horrible fight against Vladimir Klitschko, but then winds up beating Char, Carlos Takam, Mike Perez, Marius Watch, David Price, loses to Anthony Joshua, but kind of stuns him there and puts some damage on him a couple of times in the early rounds. Beats Huey Fury, draws, but should have gotten the decision against Michael Hunter, and of course capstones his career with a knockout over Dillian White. Now, Povetkin was a highlight reel fighter. You go look at his KOs, they're highlight reel. He had a nasty left hook, just a nasty left hook and uppercut. And I think it all culminates with the Dillian White shot. That victory last year in August was electrifying. What a shot. And it did win KO of the year, rightfully so. Derails Dillian White for over a year. It was an amazing shot. He was the underdog. He was down twice in that fight. He's been looking his age now, I think. Even since like the Joshua fight, you felt that he's on the decline, very, very evidently. But like I said, he does have that good Huey Fury performance, the good Michael Hunter performance, and that knockout in the first Dillian White fight was quite something else. I was so happy for him. I kind of wish he would have retired, but I guess the money was probably too good to not take a second Dillian White fight in England again. It was just Gibraltar. Sorry, not England. It was just too good. Too good. Of course, he looked like he was breathing heavy even coming down the ramp in the entrance to the second fight with Dillian White. He looked hurt the entire time, and now we know that he was sick. He battled COVID. That's why the rematch was delayed. He was a done fighter, probably in that first fight, but certainly in that second. And like I said, his power bailed him out there. Hell, it kind of bailed him out against David Price. David Price, for all his chin problems, has a lot of power in his hands. And if you can land on, he'll put you out. He actually hurt Sasha there at one point in the fight. But then Povetkin lands, brutally knocks him out. Lands a sick left hook, that's a sick overhand right, that stuns him. And David Price kind of out on his feet. And then he lands a nasty left hook to the body. Absolutely brutal. Knocks David Price out. Another highlight reel knockout. Like, guys, if you have a chance to go watch some of his knockouts against Manuel Char, he lands a beautiful 4 or 5 punch combination, knocking Char through the ropes. The Carlos Takam left hook that he lands in a brutal fight. That was a prime Takam. Really, really, really brutal fight. Had to dig deep in Russia to win him. Puts a clinic on Marius Watch. The very close Marco Huck fight, but Marco Huck was a very good reigning cruiserweight champion. So you're wondering, Povetkin's a heavyweight. He was always a small heavy. Povetkin was a chunky heavy. He was a heavy who really should be fighting at the Brigadier class or whatever it's called in the WBO. He beats Chagayev. Like I said, this is a very, very, very good fighter. It just so happens that stylistically is a horrible matchup with Vladimir Klitschko. The ref did an awful job there and allowed Klitschko to foul and wrestle. And it's just one of the worst fights I've ever seen. One of the worst fights. So I don't even hold it against Alexander Povetkin with the Klitschko fight. It was Klitschko just fouled and was allowed to get away with it. And some of those knockdowns weren't even knockdowns. They were pushes. It was just a horrible fight. I will never watch it again. So truly a very, very good heavyweight. Unfortunately, never quite won a legit portion of the belt. I know he was elevated at one point, but he was never viewed as a champion, even though he was at a championship caliber. He beat many champions, just himself never at the right time. So, like I said, I don't think he makes the Hall of Fame, but I think he makes the Hall of Very Good, right? And he was very, very good. I will absolutely miss this fighter. I'll always have respect for him. I'll always look at his highlights, always fondly remember the knockout of last August. He made me, obviously, I'm better. And he made me money numerous times, especially in these last 2 fights. They were too easy to predict. Yeah, so I guess it's a little bit bittersweet for me, talking about Povetkin like that. He truly was, when I got into boxing, his career just started, so it really shows me just how long I've been watching to see the entirety of a fighter's career like this. A fighter that I follow very, obviously I've seen many fighters retire, but a fighter who I kind of almost watched start to finish, and one who I rooted for so heavily, it's quite something. So again, cheers to Alexander Povetkin. I'm gonna miss him. Now, I do want to talk about the Claressa Shields MMA fight. I know this isn't an MMA podcast, and I don't know much about MMA at all. I'll only watch, I guess, the big fights here and there. I'm not too big of a fan, but I will watch an MMA fight, especially if a former boxer's there. And Claressa Shields wound up getting the stoppage over Brittany Elkin, right? Now, she was losing those first 2 rounds, and it shows you the weakness of a boxer in MMA. If the other fighter knows that they are going up against the boxer, the first thing you do is take him down. And Claressa Shields, I give her a lot of props, was taken down. Was kind of getting beat up, but she kept fighting back. And she has that. This is what happens when you're undefeated and you're a champ. I keep telling you, people who have never lost, they have a certain something in them. They don't want to give up. They have never tasted defeat. So they're going to be extra hungry to keep that to keep undefeated. And she did. She eventually wound up, when standing up, she was able to land at will. She just, she wasn't a heavy puncher in boxing, and she's not really a heavy puncher in MMA. I thought her power would translate a little bit better, but she didn't look particularly, all that great with her hands in an MMA setting. Now, I think what happens is that MMA, clearly the footwork is different. You have to account for kicks and for the takedown, so you're not going to turn over on punches the same way you will in boxing. You don't have to worry about anyone grabbing you and taking you down in boxing. You do in MMA. So her striking was a little bit awkward, even though when she did land, she landed almost at will. It was nice. It was nice to see. So eventually she wound up getting on top of Elkin and ground and pounded her and got the stoppage. I wish her luck. It's cool to see a boxing champ transition to MMA at a young age. None of this James Toney nonsense. Obviously, what's his name? Not Ray Austin. It'll come to me later. The guy who wound up knocking out the UFC champ with an overhand right. Maybe it was Ray Austin. No, it wasn't. I forgot what his name was. Yeah. Like I said, I'm happy for Claressa Shields. I think it would be cool to watch her get better at MMA and just to see what her ceiling is in that way. She could have really become maybe a woman all-time great fighter, similar to Holly Holmes, who became champ and was a boxing champ and then became an MMA UFC champion. So that would be kind of sick. And again, I'm not one of these boxing guys who hates MMA. I like MMA. I just like boxing a lot more. So, that's I'll watch a good MMA fight when they're cool. Well, that's going to do it for me, guys. Again, I got really lucky this weekend. Every single bet hit, even though one of them we completely missed the mark on, but it still came out in our favors due to the way that the bet was set up. So I'm happy. I feel good. And we're going to talk about this weekend's fight on a Thursday. It's over.
I'm gonna go home and break my wife's hip.
Don't brag about taking my side piece. Don't brag about taking my side piece, though.
I broke my back. Back is broken. Spinal.
And she's strong, man, good boy, just.